Uvier Omashe, who sent a message yesterday on YouTube. I didn't get to his message right before we were ending the show. He said Rotus CBN is about rolling out its 50 billion naira intervention funds. Is it only for businesses or both, or staff as well vulnerable to job loss? So yeah, Frank, it's for businesses and households. So you do have to show proof that you've been affected by COVID-19, and the application is through Nursal.
Yes.
Yeah,
on their website.
yes, on the microfinance bank. So the application goes to them. So it's for households and businesses. Tech Points released a survey showing that Nigerian startups Q1 2020 funding raises increased as against Q1 2019 and Q1 2018. So apparently Nigerian startups raised about $55.3 million in Q1 2020, and that was much, it was higher than Q1 2018 and Q1 2019. Breakdown shows that fintech startups accounted for 82.2% of the total funding, but get this, less than 1% of the total amount raised is attributed to local fund providers. So I mean, it's still much of the funding that comes from foreign sources, and I guess you can make an argument for why that is. They have deeper pockets overseas. This funding is coming in dollars, and so if you convert that to the what local entrepreneurs have, or rather local angel investors have here, but still, I mean, 99 to 1. If you look at the stock exchange, it's about 60-40 in favor of foreign investors. So you would expect that maybe it would have been higher, but 99 to 1 is pretty lopsided. We've got billionaires here, and we would like to see them help out with regards to funding startups in the country. But it is what it is. They're still getting the funding that they need, and they push on as far as innovation is concerned. What does that amount to? I think that's about 20 billion naira. Yes, 20.9 billion naira, so $55 million. I'm using the latest exchange rates of 380. So again, they raised 55.3 million in the first quarter of this year, and 82.2% of that is for fintech startups. Less than 1% came from local funding. Amazon has joined Microsoft in setting up data centers in Africa, but then we say it's Africa, it's really South Africa. We haven't quite seen, and we need these data centers. I'll explain why in a second. So, of course, Microsoft, I think it was 2018, set up their Azure data center in Cape Town and Johannesburg. I think we even reported it on Business Express on Tech Friday late last year. I think this was about March, I believe March, April last year. So Amazon, they've brought in their AWS services to South Africa, and Amazon Web Services, that's what AWS stands for. Data centers, of course, for businesses that can't afford to store their own data because of their needs. It's a cloud. Cloud services are very, very important. Cloud services are projected to grow over the next few years. You can store you can store a lot of information there. We badly need to have proper data, housed in this country. Look at the weird amount of buildings that have been catching fire in Nigeria. They're mostly government buildings, one after the other, that have been catching fire here and there. Folks have been worried about whether or not the fires in those buildings have affected, key documents that have been kept there. And of course, the conversation has now gone to, okay, whether or not, these buildings are using cloud services. So, having an Amazon, having a Microsoft, all these other companies that are able to provide cloud services will go a long way, towards, helping us to house our data safely and properly. And it's not as if we're not doing that here. We do have, companies that are providing cloud services, but I mean, these are the big companies, and to see them coming into South Africa, then that tells you about the business environments, the electricity you need to run these data centers, and essentially what is required. So well, we need to take on the South Africans in that regard. With respect to attracting, the companies, attracting companies here.
Agent.
Henry Emmanuel is asking, what does CBN mean by households? I went through the forms for households, and it seems they're referring to people who operate businesses under a business name, not necessarily the average wage income earning a household. I thought it was so, Henry. They were targeting businesses, and they were targeting individuals. So, look, for example, when the COVID-19 announced that they were paying out 23 billion naira to disadvantaged Nigerians. They did that via household. So I mean, Dangote just did a little bit of math where he just said it was 6 people per household, 1.6 million total, 10 million Nigerians across the board. I'll probably have to look at what CBN is talking about, but I was looking at, okay, businesses that have been affected by COVID-19, and then individuals, households as well. But I gotta go through the definition. But I thought it was the regular definition of a household with X amount of people living there, and how they've been affected. Well, thanks for your message, Frank. I also hope your own message was adequately answered. So yeah, again, more of the big boys moving their data centers into South Africa. We need more of them here, and we hope that we see more of that across the country. What else is going on in the tech world? Okay, so Google has announced that they're going to require advertisers to verify their identities. This is something that they're going to start over the next few years. In fact, they did this with political advertising. I think it was in 2018 or 2016. What happens is, if you are going to advertise on Google, they're going to vet you more closely. So I think they're doing this. There's this big drive against fake news because they don't want particular companies going on their platform and trying to sell products and services that don't work. Like Oga Trump telling people that, oh, what is it, disinfectant?
That they should look into research to see if people drinking disinfectants could kill coronavirus.
And that just flies in the face of
This is a very
science.
expensive thing.
Exactly. Who wants to be the guinea pig? So imagine a company that comes and say, hey, we have the disinfectant that can cure COVID-19, and you all go on Google and start advertising.
But disinfectants are not supposed to be ingested.
Right. So that's exactly. So you wouldn't want to go on a platform and start advertising that you have a disinfectant that can help people cure COVID-19. So Google wants to make sure that when you come on their platform and you want to advertise for something, they say they're going to be collecting a number of some information from companies that are looking to do that. This is going to take a few years to complete. It says they're going to submit personal identification, business incorporation documents, other information, and it's going to spread out across a number of countries over the next few years. So I think that's pretty important with regards to how tech companies now are clamping down on fake information and dangerous information as well. Let's see. Ifeanyi says, Ifeanyi from Iba says, prices not supposed to be on the downward trend now, since there's not too much money in the hands of people. Ifeanyi, on the contrary, if you look at what's happened with the border closure, and then you look at what's happened with the lockdown, they've essentially reduced supply. Are you referring to food? If you're referring to food, they've reduced supply of food. Inflation just came out a few days ago, 12.26% year on year in March compared to 12.2 in February. The primary driver was food prices, or rather food inflation. Food inflation is at 14.98% now. It's almost 15% if you want to approximate year on year. Compared to, what was it in February? 14.9, right? So food inflation has been the primary driver of inflation, and if you look, it's actually projected to even go higher this year. A lot of companies are talking about it, saying they haven't been able to restock inventory. So if the less inventory you see there, if there's more demand for products, it's going to push up prices. So we're seeing supply. I mean, yeah, on the demand side, people's incomes are being squeezed, but on the supply side, we're seeing that affected there. So that's primarily what we're seeing as far as driving prices of items upwards. Let's see here. Andy says, "Good morning. Yet again, South Africa beating us to such huge opportunity. Why? Power. We need to declare a state of emergency on power, else we will lose out on all the foreign direct investments in technology, especially post COVID-19." Andy, you couldn't be more correct. Thank you so much. I think that was even a headline in Business Day yesterday or the day before. Headline said that investment fueled growth is the only way Nigeria can get out of where she is right now. Look at the Tech Points startups report on funding for Q1 over the last 3 months. 99% came from foreign investors, right? 99. I mean, that number is crazy. It's blowing my mind. 99 to 1% according to their data. So it tells you how much we need foreign, and this is for startups or tech startups. It tells you how, and most of them were fintech. So it tells you how important it is that foreign money comes into this country, and it tells you how badly Nigeria needs to make reforms that will make the environment attractive for them to come in. In the midst, South Africa is in a recession already. You know, Ramaphosa, the president, is going through all types of. I mean, they're having issues. What else? South African Airlines, they finally cut funding to them. There's a fear that there are going to be job losses there. What else is South Africa? They have their own COVID-19 issues. They have their own lockdown. I think South Africa extended their lockdown to like May 3rd or 4th or something like that. So on top of all that, you still got Amazon and Microsoft coming into the country to set up data centers. So, I mean, South Africa has been referred to as the most industrialized African nation on the continent. I mean, oh, okay, they have power issues though. Eskom, they've been having their blackouts now, so they've had their own issues. Eskom is primarily a coal-driven power supplier, and they've had problems, but still, the infrastructure they set up there is still bringing about an attractiveness for foreign investors. So Andy's point is well taken. Henry comes back. Rotus, what do you think of the plan in Australia to force Facebook and Google to share advertising revenue? We look at media. Henry, thank you for this. That was actually earlier. Was that earlier this week or was that last week? Yeah, I think it was earlier this week. Yeah, look, I don't like when government starts forcing companies to do this. Look, we all, what they're saying is that they have to, because they're taking news from local media, they should now share in the revenue because of the amount of people that visit Facebook and Google. You could flip that argument, Henry, and say, what about the other services that Facebook and Google provide? So I don't know. Maybe it's a sign of the times with regards to the revenue crunch or regards to the fact that the internet is putting a lot of local media out of business. Almost every media outlet now has paywalls. I don't want to tell you guys how much I pay in dollars in subscriptions to the Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, The Economist, Financial Times. And with this dollar crunch, I'm sweating now. But I need those subscriptions, including I need those subscriptions because I have to keep in touch with what's going on in business around the world. And these guys are the sources of it. And because they used to be free, a lot of this, years ago they used to be on the internet. Like the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal in print. Who else? The Economist print magazine. All of them used to be in print. And I used to collect, buy them in print, but now they're still in print, but now they're moving mostly online and they're charging people money to pay for them. And Google Pay, I think, is a good service. Google Pay aggregates all my subscriptions. So I'm able to pay through using, one of my bank cards. Google Pay now allows me to subscribe to multiple financial websites and so on. And, it's handled. So look, the point I'm making is that Google has the services that are essential. You can't be in Australia and not say the Australian government officials cannot tell you that Google has not been essential to what businesses are doing there and so on and so forth. So to force them to share their revenue with media, I guess it just shows where the sign of the times media is struggling. But I don't really support it, but I hear they're moving forward with it. Ike says COVID-19 has shown that after all is said and done, most governments are socialist in nature. Very, very, very true. Ike, let's see here. Precious from Ogba. Rotus, if South Africa has power issue, Nigeria. Anyway, Precious says if South Africa has power issue, Nigeria has what? Very, very funny. MI says, Rotus, our government couldn't even trust local content to design the logo of an airline, which never took off. Nice pun right there. Talking about youths are the leaders of tomorrow. I laugh in Soweto. That's MI from Akoka. Very true. Good point there. Who else is this? This is AJ. Ogene Ochukwu says the ease of doing business is better than Nigeria, e.g., multiple tax and security issues. I think it's. Are you referring to South Africa? Let's see here. What other messages here? Okay, yes. So I think you're referring to South Africa, but as far as ease of doing business. Isaac says, good morning, Roses. It's been a while. Trust you're doing great. Please, can you share your subscription with me? These guys are really overbearing as regards to their billing just because of government. No, Isaac, it's essentially. Oh wait, is that a joke? I should share my subscription with you, but I pay for it now, Isaac. You just set up Google Pay, and you can now subscribe through them to all these other guys. But I think what is it now? You can. How does this thing work? I can't remember how it works. But Isaac, every man for himself with subscriptions. So $1 is going up. It's not easy, but I need it. I have to be plugged into what's going on in financial services around the world in order to deliver the best possible content to you guys on this show. But please, if you can, check them all out. I mean, I've told everybody that wants to go into media or go into financial, you have to stay informed, and or including our own also Nairametrics, Business Day, ProShare. We've got our own financial services sites here in Nigeria as well that are keeping us informed. So of course, so it's the whole gamut. And again, I read all of them, not just the economists and the Bloombergs of this world. And so shout out to our very own people, Nairametrics, Business Day, ProShare, and all the other financial websites here in Nigeria. Victor from Ikeja, the focus on taxation of digital companies is a global trend and not peculiar to Australia. Over 50 countries have imposed some form of tax or the other on digital companies. Victor, thank you for that. Yes, indeed. Ifeanyi is back again. Is it not feasible for cash transfer to everyone by God? Yeah, I know. Thank you for that, because that explosion, Val, that happened in yes. They finally they were giving out. I noticed yesterday
2.5 million
in checks, but they were checks, and the central bank said that during the lockdown there will be no processing of checks.
So when do they cash it?
Exactly. So why don't you just transfer the 2.5 million to each person? And then also I think he's also mentioning the conditional cash transfer things. Yeah. Business Day had an article where they said that conditional cash transfer is showing the failure of the financial inclusion drive by government, because you should just use this cash transfer opportunity to get data from the people, the disadvantaged Nigerians, find out who they are, and then transfer the money to them. So, you find good points.
The necessary biodata.
Exactly. And I think, that's what's going on in the tech world, and that's what's happening around here in Nigeria and across the globe. So I see you with your hand sanitizer. Was that hand sanitizer?
Yeah, hand sanitizer.
Okay.
Well, humor me this,
yes.
Aren't you interested, or don't you find it interesting how many more people are going on Instagram Live these days?
Oh, of course. I mean, I thought I had this conversation with Shola Thompson on Drive Time discussion. Yes, I mean, it's almost there's nothing else to do.
Yes.
And
so people are bored.
People are bored. And Netflix, they announced what was it? 16 million new subscribers. Also, Disney Plus also announced
they had projected a doubling of their profits, but they quadrupled it.
Right. But they did warn that because of the lockdowns, it has been affecting filming of new content. Like all Hollywood movies have been pushed back. So I think Netflix they gave some forward guidance that for Q2, Q3 there might be some struggles with pushing out new content. But I think they're trying to look at it. But yes, more people are going online, which of course translates to data costs and chopping from telecoms.
That's right. So telcos should actually reduce prices.
We'll see
Consider that.
We'll see how it works.
Thanks, Rotus.
Thanks, Valentin. Thank you, everybody, for your messages. Keep washing your hands. Keep your social distancing, and I'll see you on Monday.
We'll survive.
Yes.
All right, stay tuned to Smooth 98.1. Next at 7:30, we'll be freshly pressed 91.
Business Express, brought to you by EnterSwitch.
Some may say it's not
I'll see you, man.
possible.